Hey everybody, so today I just wanted to quickly pop on and say hi and tell you something that we are going to be doing here at our house. So as you can see, I have out my sewing machine, and I have here an old queen-sized bed sheet, just the flat sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making Kleenexes. So my husband and I have been talking for a few days about going away from store-bought and Kleenexes and instead using cloth as our Kleenexes. So right now we use the Puff Plus Lotion Kleenexes. I think they're about $5 or $6 for a pack of 3, but we go through them like so fast. It's crazy. My youngest son, Curtis, has really bad allergies year round. Of course, he has like spikes in his allergies, and he can go through a box of Kleenexes in 1 to 2 days by himself. And then, of course, my oldest son, he has allergies that's kind of seasonal. So there's every once in a while he'll have a flare-up, and of course then we go through even more. And then I have mild allergies to like dust and stuff, so I'll even have times whenever I'm dealing with that kind of thing, and so then I'm using a lot. And then if somebody gets a cold, it's just crazy. So with this year, we're wanting to become less wasteful. Not saying that we want to be zero waste, 100% zero waste, which, I mean, I think that's great. People can do that. I don't see that being something that we can actually fulfill. But I would love to get to where we are wasting less. And on top of that, it's going to be saving us quite a bit of money to be able to do that. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to make 8-inch squares just by making a zigzag stitch square. And then I'm just going to cut those squares out, and I want to show you guys what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so I have decided that I'm just going to, kind of show you guys how I'm going to get started on this. So my idea around this, and my husband kind of helped me figure out this idea, is that I'm going to run a zigzag stitch starting at one side of the sheet, and I'm going to run it all the way, the length of the sheet, excuse me, the sheet. And turn on my machine, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my 8 inches and run another seam at my 8-inch mark. So I'm going to come over 8 inches and make another zigzag stitch all the way across. Then I'm going to go over about a 1/2 inch and make another zigzag stitch. So I just want to show you kind of what I'm doing, so that if it turns out okay, you know how to do it. It's because this is my first time, not my first time sewing, but my first time trying to make these Kleenexes. Move my foot pedal here. Got my Boo, my dog, is on her bed underneath my makeshift work area. So I'm just going to try to get this going. Alright, so I got my foot down, and I'm going to start. I'm going to do a back stitch, maybe. There we go. I have not done much sewing. What sewing I have done, and the way I taught, I'm self-taught. I did have a little help whenever I first started. My husband's grandmother gave me some pointers because I kept on having horrible trouble with my bobbin, just getting all twisted, and like this huge knot would like come. And so I got her sewing machine, and her manual. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. That happens a lot. And her manual, and I learned how to thread the bobbin correctly. But then I truly learned what I was doing wrong later on, years later, whenever I realized that you have to have the strings pulled to the back of the machine and not just in the front. And so I learned that was a big mistake. So if that helps anybody, hopefully it does. So I'm just making a zigzag stitch all the way down this side, and I'll just continue doing that. The more you do something, the easier it gets. I wish that I would be able to take more time to practice sewing. I just don't have the time right now, even though I have a lot of things I would like to sew right now, with wanting to do less waste. Hold on. Something happened. Let me see. Oh, I ran out of bobbin. I was afraid that was going to happen. Alright, so I'm going to reset this bobbin real quick. Don't know what just happened. See, guys, I'm not very good at this. Ah! Okay, let's try to wind it up nicely. Yes, I'm not, like I said, I am not. I'm not a sewer. Okay, what did I do wrong? Okay, I hope you guys are getting some enjoyment out of this. My failure here. Alright, I think that maybe I was doing it too fast and it popped off or something. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's what I was doing wrong. We're just not going to go so fast. I'm going to hold this string for a little bit more tension. So if you're a beginner sewer, this, I think, hopefully will be an easy project for you. Because, I mean, it's just a zigzag stitch, and you need to practice that anyway if you're a beginner sewer. That's actually the first stitch that I started with, just a straight zigzag stitch. And I actually was making a quilt at the time, or attempting to make a quilt, a jean quilt. And I'm going to restart this by doing a front stitch, and then I'm going to do a back stitch where I ended, just to shore that up. There we go. But anyways, I was trying to make a jean quilt. And I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. This is when me and my husband was first married. And I thought it would be something, a cool heirloom that I could, you know, pass down to her. And I actually don't even know if I still have it. I finished it finally after years. I finished it, but I don't actually know if I kept it. Because all it needs is a backing on it. Like literally, I need to put a backing on it and it's done. It's a blanket. But I haven't done that yet. So right now I'm just following this line that was already on the sheet, the hem that they had. So that's why I'm not having to stop and measure or do anything crazy. Just make literally make a line. I'm doing this on a card table. If I go too fast, it like bounces like crazy. I'm here at the end, so I'm going to go to the very end and I'm going to back stitch and then go back forward again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure over and mark at 8 inches from my zigzag all the way down, and I'm going to mark it with a pencil maybe. I used to have a really nice little marker, but I'll look for it. We'll see if I can find it. Okay, so I found my washout cloth marker. It's blue. I also had a blue, like, this isn't a marker really. In my opinion, it's like almost like a colored pencil. But anyways, I have a blue marker, actual marker, and I did a little test on my fabric, And this one's like super standoutish, and this one's more subtle, so I think I'm going to go with this one and see how that goes. Just moving this down and lining this up. I'm just doing it every so far. I'm not being like super precise or anything, guys. So down here, I'm just putting that on my zigzag, and down here, I'm just making my mark. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so now that I have my marks, I'm going to just put my foot down where that mark is. And I'm going to go from one of my little marks to the next mark, which I spaced them out pretty good, like probably 8 or 9 inches apart. So they're not going to be like perfectly square or anything, but I'm not really worried about it being perfectly square because we're going to be blowing our nose on it. Again, forward, backward, and begin the next row. Okay, so I have finished my second line here, and I've noticed something different about my 2 lines. Remember, I have not sewed for a very long time. I'm still what I consider a beginner, even though I've known how to sew for about 10 years now, but I'm not good at it. Okay, I haven't had time to practice, but I just want to show you what the difference is between the 2 stitches I did. One, I was really pulling as it came through, and then the other one I was kind of letting it feed itself. So I'm just going to show you what the difference is if you pull and if you just kind of let it feed itself. So here, let me get it up. So my first stitch, let's see if I can get a close-up on it. Hopefully you can see that. That's my first stitch. You can see there's some inconsistencies, and as you go down the line, hopefully you can see that, more inconsistencies. My second line started out rough, and then it got better as I went. So let me show you kind of in the middle here. So that's what it looked like. Hopefully you can see that as I went on. So I like this a lot better, so I'm going to try my hardest not to like pull really hard like I was doing that first time, because I really like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure over from that last stitch by 1/2 of an inch, and I'm going to make a mark at 1/2 inch all the way down that line, and then I'm going to stitch along that line, making a whole row going all the way down again. But anyways, I'm going to cut, sorry, there's a string, it's bugging me. I'm going to cut right on the side of the zigzag stitch, and I'm just going to cut lengthwise because it's just so much fabric. I'm going to go ahead and cut these off, and then I'm going to make my other stitch the other way. So I'll show you how that is in just a second. I'm just going to go ahead and cut along this zigzag, and then between the 2 stitches, the second stitch that I made and the third stitch I made, I'm going to cut right down the middle of them. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Really helps if you have really sharp scissors. The scissors I own are all very dull, so this is going to take me a minute. Okay, so I have got my strip. So here's where I first sewed, then this is my second stitch, and I just cut off their seam, their hem that they had done for the top of the sheet. So I just cut that off. I went ahead and I left the side seams. I started to cut off this one, but I realized that whenever I go to make my stitch there, to make my square, that it would be easier if I had a bigger thing to hold on to, so I'll snip that off after. So I'll start my first stitch running this way, in from their stitch, the manufacturer's stitch of the sheet that I'm using. I'll do that about 1/4 inch in That way I'll get my 8 inches. So I'm going to mark from a 1/4 inch from their seam over 8 inches, and I'm going to make a mark at that 8 inch mark. Sorry. So at that 8 inch mark, so it'll be from that mark, let's see here, 8 inches. And I'm going to make probably 4 of these going all the way across. Now I'm going to start my new stitch. On my stitch that runs this way, I'm going to start on that, and I'm going to do a forward and back stitch to just sure that corner. And I'm going to continue following my guideline marks, and I'm just letting the fabric go on its own because the stitch was so much prettier than whenever I was forcing it earlier. Just letting it go on its own. And then I'm going to get to the end, go over my original stitch, go back stitch, and forward stitch. And then I'm going to stop stitch and cut it off. And from there, I'm going to go over, you know, and I don't even know how wide this is, so this might fall out wrong, but anyway, I'm going to go over probably another 1/2 inch from that stitch because that seemed like a pretty good distance to cut between. And I'm going to make a line. What did I do? What did I do with my pencil? I lost my pencil. What did I do with it? Well, guys, I've lost my pencil. I'll find that real quick. What did I do with it? I bet you guys can even see it. It rolled. It rolled away. Okay. So what was I doing? I was measuring over 1/2 inch and making from that last stitch and making a mark. And then I'm going to sew this stitch across. Alright, so I can continue doing that. I'm going to continue doing that all the way across. And I'm going to I need to go ahead and I'm going to stitch along their, the manufacturer's seam so I can cut this off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick and then I'll continue. Okay, so now that I have my square, I'm going to go ahead and cut the end off where the manufacturer's seam was, which I guess you could just use that as one of your seams, but I want them to I don't want to have that big bubble on one of mine. I just want them to kind of all be alike. So I'm just going to cut that right off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 8 inches over from my seams that I just sewed. And then when I get this all done, I'm going to cut them and then I'll have my 8-inch square. Okay, so I have finished my first square. It's been just a little over an hour since I started and I finished my first one. And I have all this marked for several more. But I just wanted to show you what I did. I don't know if it's correct or if this is gonna mess up my hanky or not, but I'm loving the size of this. I love the feel of it. It looks like it's gonna be perfect. But what I did is, and like I said, I'm not a seamstress, and I really don't know if I should have done this. It might have been totally the wrong thing to do. So if you are a seamstress or you know how to sew, and this was wrong, make sure you leave a comment. But I'm going to show you what I did. So I thought it was really cute. Like, it started fraying, you know, obviously. I'm going to show you this up close real quick. And so I pulled the thread and I made this cute little fringe on the edge right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, if it's focusing or not for you guys. But I thought it was really cute, so I went ahead and I pulled and then I snipped off the long ones because it made long ones. But it kind of gave it just a cute little edge to it. And like I said, I'll probably go back and trim. There's still a few little long ones, but I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I'm gonna just rush through this and see how many I can get done tonight. It is getting kind of late. I already got the kids down. That's how I'm actually having me time to do this. I told them, I said, you go to sleep, you don't bug mom. So I'm just really excited about how this is turning out. And I will show you my end results. I'll tell you how many I get out of a queen size sheet. Well guys, I cannot finish making my cloth tissues because my sewing machine has decided it's going to not work. So I'm gonna have to put the rest of my sewing on hold. But I did get, let's see, 1, 14, 15, 16. I got 16 of them done. So pretty good little stack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I will get, once I get all this done, it will be a lot. a lot. Okay, so it's day 3 of my sewing project. Yesterday evening I worked for about 3 hours. The night before that was about 3 hours. And then today I've been working for probably around 3.5 to 4 hours. Probably closer to 4 hours now. But I'm done. And I just wanted to show you how many I got. I got 96 cloth Kleenexes. But I could have had more than that. I could have had 96, 97, 98, 99. I could have had exactly 100, but me and the sewing machine were not getting along. You can see that. Yeah, so we had a fight and I didn't win. So this was the end of my run. I had run out of my light colored thread anyway, so I was having to use a dark colored, and I decided on orange because that's my son's favorite color. And I thought, oh, those can just be his personal hankies then. But then, it was a mess. So, anyways, and this is one that I messed up on when I first started. So yeah, you can get 100 cloth Kleenexes out of a queen size flat sheet. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm done. I told my husband I was so done. I've got thread all over me. Anyway, so I want to show you, I just got a vase that I've had around. Actually, I had a candle in it with some rocks, and it was just kind of sitting over there on our dresser. And what I'll do is I'll just stick these in here once, I still have to cut off all these threads, so don't look at that, but those go in here. And I'll probably shove them down so there's plenty in there. We'll put some in me and my husband's room. And that's what it'll kind of look like. Of course, I've got to still get rid of all these threads and do all that craziness. But I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. It took forever. But it cost me hardly anything. I went through like 4 spools of white thread, guys. It was crazy. But I think it'll be worth it. I hope that you guys like this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you next time.